Hi there! This is a pre-manufactured chicken coop assembly video where I'll show you how to turn this disassembled chicken coop, which is currently sitting on a pallet, into a fully assembled chicken coop. Before we get started, I'd like to go over the tools you'll need to make this assembly go smoothly. Here's what you'll need: electric screwdriver or impact driver, bits, T20, T25, T30, Phillips head screwdriver, 8mm socket for roof screws, ladder to access the roof, and a partner to assist. And that's all you need to get it done. And remember, safety always comes first. The parts are securely screwed and fastened to prevent damage during transport. Before removing each part from the pallet, make sure all screws are fully unscrewed. If a part isn't coming off, don't force it. Double check to see if it's still secured by a screw somewhere. We'll be using T20 and T30 bits frequently, so keep them handy throughout the process. Now, let's take some parts off the pallet. I'll speed up the video and list each part as we go. First, we remove the nesting box, then the floor panel, the middle internal wall panel, the back or ventilation panel, the window panel, the fascia with the roof rafters. Next, we remove the chicken ramp and the feeder. Feeder contains all screws and other necessary part we'll need later during the assembly process. Next, the 4 roof sheets. This is the heaviest part, so make sure to have a partner help you. The roof panel, the lower base frame pieces, and the battens. Leave the remaining panels on the pallet. We'll use them later. You can neatly place all the panels on the ground in an area where they won't interfere with the ongoing work. Once that's done, we can start assembling the chicken coop. First, we assemble the lower base frame. There are 2 shorter base frame pieces that are in one piece, and 4 longer pieces, which have one end cut at a 60-degree angle. We screw them together to form 2 long base frame sections, with screws already pre-inserted. Then we need the 18-centimeter screws, with flat heads. We get them in feeder. Insert the screws into the pre-drilled holes at each end of the long base beams and lay them out on the ground, making sure the short bottom beams are placed between the long ones. Then, screw them together. I would strongly recommend to level the lower base frame to ensure the structure will be stable. Make sure the base frame is supported at least at 6 points, 1 at each corner and in the middle where the long base pieces join. For even greater stability, I recommend using 8 to 12 support points. In this video, I'm using wooden blocks because this coop is for demonstration purposes and won't remain here permanently. For your setup, I recommend using concrete blocks, bricks, tiles, or even stones to keep the wood off the ground, preventing the base from touching the soil and extending its lifespan. Ideally, you'd create small foundations under the base beams. Additionally, it's helpful to measure the diagonals to ensure they are equal, which will guarantee the structure is square and precise. Once the base frame and foundation are properly set up, we can start installing the first panel. The first panel we'll install is the door panel, which we haven't yet removed from the pallet. Now, with the help of a partner, unscrew it and take to its place where it will be installed. While a partner holds the door panel upright, I'll go and take the back panel. This is one of the lightest panels, so it's easy to carry and position by myself next to the door panel. The screws are already pre-inserted, and once I'm confident the panels are aligned correctly, I tighten them together using all the screws. After the door and back panels are screwed together, the structure is stable enough to stand on its own without falling over, so we can release it and move on to window panel. We make sure it's aligned properly and there are no unnecessary gaps. Just like with the other panels, the screws are pre-inserted and we simply screw the panels together. Next, we take the floor panel, which is very easy to install, much like sliding in a drawer. Simply slide it in using pre-prepared guides. If it happens to stuck slightly, just give it a little nudge and it will slide smoothly into place. Once the floor panel is in place, we ensure that the entire coop structure is correctly aligned with the base frame. We make sure everything is positioned precisely and then screw those panels to the base frame using the pre-inserted screws. This will ensure that the panels remain secure and in place during the rest of the assembling process. After the chicken coop is attached to the base frame, we'll need to go underneath the coop to screw the floor panel into place using the pre-inserted screws. It's best to start with the screws pointing to the door panel and then move on to the screws on each side. Then take 12-centimeter long screws with flat heads from the feeder. These screws need to be inserted into the pre-drilled holes in the floor panel from underneath. Now we take the middle panel and place it on the floor panel between the window and back panels. Once it's correctly positioned, we screw in at least one of the screws we inserted earlier into the floor panel, preferably in the middle. After securing this screw, we can safely step inside the coop. Once we've confirmed that the middle panel is positioned precisely, we tighten all remaining screws on both panels. Next, we take the roof panel, making sure that the top side is the one with the condensation membrane. Again, in the feeder, we'll find the 12-centimeter long screws with narrow heads. We insert them from the top of the roof panel into the pre-drilled holes before lifting the roof and placing it in position. And now we lift the roof into place. It's very important to measure the distance between the end of the rafters and the wall of the coop. This should be around 18 centimeters. The distance can be slightly more or less, but the key is to make sure that all the rafter ends are the same distance from the wall to ensure they form a straight line. Once everything is properly aligned, we screw in all the screws. With that step completed, our next focus will be on the aviary or chicken run panels. There are 3 chicken run panels left on the pallet. The next panel in line is the end panel. We temporarily set it aside for now. Then there is chicken run front panel with built-in door. We place it at the front of the coop and, just like the other panels, screw it into place. We do the same with the next and the last one on the pallet. This panel goes at the back, and we screw it in as well. Finally, we take the end panel and screw it into place. Once all the panels are in place, we make sure everything is straight and without any gaps. Then, we securely screw them down to the bottom beam. Now, it's time to install the nesting box. We position it under the window, pressing it firmly against the coop and up to window frame. It's important to align the left side, the side closer to the door, to ensure there are no gaps and it's straight. I place the nesting box on my knee to free my hands. Inside, we'll see 3 screws on each side. We use these to attach the nesting box to the front panel. Once that's done, we move on to installing the roof. Take the same 12-centimeter screws we used for the roof panel and insert them into the pre-drilled holes in the remaining 5 rafters. We carefully lift the rafters and place them above the chicken run in their designated spots. As I mentioned earlier, it's very important to measure the distance from the rafter ends to the chicken coop to ensure that they are in one straight line with the rafters on the main roof panel. So, before you screw them on, ensure that all the rafters form a straight line. The rafters have markings for the battens, a line with a cross next to it. We align the battens with the line covering the cross. The battens also should form a straight line in both ends. The battens consist of 10 planks, 5 longer ones and 5 shorter ones. Similar to how the lower base frame was assembled, full-length batten is made by joining a short and a long plank together. However, in this case, they don't have to be screwed together. When the short and long planks are joined, they form one complete batten, which we place on the rafters using the markings as a guide. The shorter part of the batten goes above the coop, while the longer part goes above the chicken run. The battens are painted on 3 sides, and the unpainted side should face upward toward the roof. This is how we'll assemble and attach the 5 complete battens onto the rafters. The overhang of the battens past the rafters should be 307 millimeters. Markings are already made on the battens, so we don't need to measure it. We screw the battens into place, using 2 screws at each junction. You will find the screws in the feeder. Next, once the battens are secured, we'll install the roofing sheets. First, unscrew the 4 screws on each side that are securing the roofing sheets to the transport boards. When placing the roofing sheets onto the coop, be sure to use the same holes left by these screws to fasten the sheets securely. Additionally, for each batten, we'll insert 4 screws to ensure everything is tightly fastened. Once the roof is in place, we'll attach the fascia, using the same screws we used for the roofing sheets. The fascia at the sides of the chicken coop is screwed into the ends of each batten, while the front fascia is secured at the ends of the rafters with one screw each. It is recommended to add an additional screw from the top as well. Chicken coop assembly is almost complete. There is just a few finishing touches left. Let's install the automatic door. These are high-quality, tested automatic doors, and all the necessary holes in the panel are already made. We screw them on following the manufacturer's instructions. How to program automatic doors can be found in the manual or on the manufacturer's website. Let's also attach this decoration. This is a practical hook for hanging a water container or a treat for your chickens. Then we install the small ramp. Underneath the automatic door, about 1 to 2 centimeters below, we screw in 2 small hooks where the ramp will hang. This system is very convenient because the ramp can easily be removed if needed. And all that's left is to install the roosting bars inside the coop, where the chickens will roost, and the gravity feeder. Another very useful feature of this chicken coop is that it comes equipped with anti-red mite roosting bar holders. They are already pre-installed. These holders need to be filled with oil. Any cooking oil will do. The oil creates a barrier that prevents red mites from reaching the chickens while they roost. We screw each end of the roost to the holder from underneath with one screw, as shown in the video. It's super easy. Also, it is important to ensure that the ends of the roosting bar do not touch the walls. You will find in package also this barrier. This barrier can easily be removed when cleaning the coop, making the process much easier. For the final task, we'll install the feeder. We'll position it near the side where the hinges are and secure it at a height where the bottom of the feeder sits just above the barrier we've installed. This way, it won't interfere with the door when it's closed. And this is it. It is done. Please, after watching this video, could you let me know if you personally find the chicken coop assembly difficult or not? And also, if you have any ideas on how we can further improve this chicken coop, I'd love to hear them. Drop your suggestions in the comments below. Your opinion is very important. And thank you for watching this video.